Okay, here we go. I just want to begin by saying I had an amazing Shabbos this week. I just got back from New York. I was with some unbelievable people in Borough Park, New York. An amazing Chaburah over there with Rabbi Eisenberger and a tremendous community of Mavakshe Hashem, people that are growing, people that want to be close to Hashem. And there's an amazing support network there. And people who are getting to a place in their life where they want to go and transition from yeshiva to the next phase of working, dating, marriage. They have a good turnaround rate over there in Borough Park. Not so long from working, dating to marriage, Baruch Hashem. I went there for a wedding of one of our students. And I was very, very impressed by the tremendous place of people steiging and learning. Steiging means steiging, gains, spiritual gains. And it's a tremendous pleasure. So people should know about the Borough Park Chaburah in New York as a place, as a destination to do tremendous things and to build. And the amount of access there, there's guys in law school, there's guys in Wall Street there, there's motivated people, professionals that want to work and get married, but know that the world is so meshugana that if you're not with a Chaburah, if you're not connected to other guys, nish poshet, like we say. There's a lot of Yiddish over there also, so you'll pick some up. Nish poshet, it's not so simple. And therefore, anybody who's going and is going to be landing in the States, you got to land with support. So, and there's gewaldige support of that. I was very, very impressed. A dear friend of mine, Rabbi Alex Vayner as well, who's a tremendous mashpia in the community, and many, many choshva rabbanim. Okay, this week is Parashas Zachor, my friends. Timche zecher Amalek mitachas hashamayim. We have a Mitzva D'Orisa to erase Amalek. That mitzvah happens in 3 stages. There's a mitzvah to destroy Amalek in our thoughts, speech, and action. Thought is something that's going on all the time. That Amalek is, we're going to learn today, what is he trying to do? What is he trying to accomplish? One of the things that he's trying to accomplish, like we mentioned in a previous year, is to cool us down, to not be so excited about Hashem. Asher karcha b'derech. We also said, what is Amalek trying to do? Karcha. He's trying to tell you that God is just not really real. All the things that happen in your life are just happenstance. They're just by chance. He's manipulating your inner psychology. Basically the stuff that good marketing companies do, in Netflix, manipulate your inner self-talk and know how to move all the strings that are going on inside there. Amalek is the root of all the evil manipulation. So you have to be constantly trying to erase that negative thought pattern. When do we erase him? In speech, this Shabbos. We erase him in speech by speaking out and reminding ourselves that we have to erase that negative energy. And then Asiyah is on Purim. At the Purim Suda, that energy is totally gone from the world. We do that by having our Lebedik Suda. Rav Label's guys are coming to me. It's going to be Lebedik. Baruch Hashem. That is the Purim Suda. Let's go into a little bit more about the nature of Amalek. Yes, Yankel.
Well, what about thought? You said like speech is this Shabbos, but then action is...
Action is Purim, is the Mishteh. Thought is all the time. Is a constant mitzvah. Is a constant mitzvah to snipe. The way that I see it is like this. Imagine you're in your palace, in the palace of the king. And the palace is gorgeous and marble and sapphire. And you're standing at the top, one of the outposts at the top, looking in very, very far. You see the kingdom, and far, far in the distance, you see a dark forest. And out of the forest, you take your binoculars and you're adjusting them, and you see that there's a scout. It looks like he's coming from the forest, and you notice that he's coming to do some reconnaissance and to report back. Now that scout that's coming from the forces of darkness is trying to come and topple the kingdom. Now, if you just stay up there and say, oh, look, he's not really doing anything, he's not even really armed, and let him go, then what's going to happen afterwards? He's going to report back and bring in the Chevra, the bad guys. So the second that you see him, even ideally the second that you see him peeking his nose out from the forest, you already have to snipe him. So that idea is a spiritual idea. That the second that a negative thought pattern comes into your mind, you need to catch it. Like they say, nip it in the bud, right away. Right before it ever starts to germinate and become more part of your thought pattern. You have to get it right away. Okay, that's Amalek. That's a constant mitzvah. Which means Amalek is all, you know that game with like the moles? It's a moles? They're moles? Whack-a-mole. Whack-a-mole. Okay. So yeah, you whack this one and this one pops up, and you whack that one like the Hydra, just keeps growing new things. That's like Amalek. You have to keep cutting them off and keep knocking down the moles, but he's coming back. He's always sending a new scout. And the power of Amalek, this is what the Chovos HaLevavos says, one of the most powerful things that I ever learned. This line in the Chovos HaLevavos, Amalek, which is the Yetzer Hara, which is your evil inclination, he's your worst enemy, who's risen through your internal ranks and become your closest advisor. The Yetzer Hara is your worst enemy, who's risen your internal ranks and become your closest advisor. So imagine that scout, that you let it go. He comes in, he sneaks in through the back thing. He integrates as part of the kingdom. He gets a job, raises his position in the land, starts integrating more, runs for local office, becomes a mayor, all of a sudden, and he was that scout. And then he rises to the highest level of being your top advisor, and he's just whispering destructive things in your ear, thinking that he's helping you. Okay, this is the power of Amalek. So it says about Amalek, "V'yavo Amalek v'yalachem im Yisrael b'refidim," that Amalek came after we left Israel. We were in Refidim, because it says that we got weak from learning Torah. Refidim is a location, but is a play on words. Sherafu yadeim min Torah. Amalek comes when you get weak in learning. When you stop being so pumped up about learning Torah, Amalek pounces. As opposed to the guard being vigilant with Torah thoughts, he started to go and play Smash Brothers or something. So it's all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. Back to the game. So then Amalek comes right away. So Rashi points something interesting out. It says, "Bishvil she'amru Yisrael hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin," and we had doubts. Is Hashem with us? Is He not? As soon as there's doubt is the same numerical value as Amalek. Doubt is Safek, 240. Amalek is 240. So because you had doubts, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chayechem shehakelev ba v'noishech eschem. You're going to see the dog is going to come and bite you. V'yavay Amalek. That's Amalek. The dog is going to come to bite you. Ask the Tosha Rebbe, why is it a dog? Why is the fight that Amalek came compared to a dog? I mean, Amalek is the most evil energy in the entire world. Literally. It's the most destructive energy in the entire world. It's evil. It's pure evil. So why does Rashi, why is it being compared to a dog? Aren't there more ferocious animals? Yes, Michael. Okay, so what is it? Only that a lion does let go, a crocodile does let go?
Well, you said earlier about it being also your best friend. Like dogs are like a man's best friend.
So that's very good. So the dog comes like, oh, we're boys. But does the dogs that are best friends turn on their I'm not sure. Do they?
No.
Is there such a thing?
If they're trained, they won't. No.
They never just turn like snap? Just rabies.
Yeah, no, they won't.
That's bad.
They have a little bit of a, they're brand a little bit. They know.
So we say kalev. Kalev is kalev. It has a heart. It has a heart. It has a heart, but too much heart, you have to direct the heart. You know, the kalev also licks your tush. You know, that's not, you know, because the heart says, whatever you feel like, just do. Kind of sounds like what's going on in the world. Whatever you feel like, just do. You know, the kalev, the Gemara says that if Hashem never gave us a Torah, which He did, but let's say He didn't, you could learn many traits from different animals how you should act. So the Gemara says you would learn the trait of modesty from the cats. Why? Because cats are very modest. Have you ever seen a cat use the bathroom? You saw a cat making that. You see it, the cat hides out. You don't notice cats using the bathroom. You ever seen a dog use the bathroom? He'll stand there looking in your eyes, making poopy, literally just like, and he's like looking at you. You're like, whoa, dude, like, you know, and just like, yeah, we're cool. Okay?
He's looking to you for protection.
Meaning, maybe just hide somewhere and you'll be better off. And he'll do it in front of people. Like, it could be a whole group of people. And he just, because when the lave is not exactly directed in the right way, you just do whatever you feel. So the kelev is an interesting animal. And it's interesting that Amalek is being compared to the kelev. So look what the Tosha Rebbe says. Meaning, you would have thought that it would have been a more ferocious animal. Like a lion, what about a wolf? It's pretty ferocious. Crocodiles, alligators. By the way, we're getting close to Pesach. Who knows what the Tzfardea were? The second plague.
Frogs.
So frogs, some opinions say they were crocodiles, which is a little bit more spooky. The crocodiles. That's number one. Number two, the Medrash says about Amalek that Amalek is Am-lak. Am-lak. That the nation that like sucks the blood, that like bites and sucks the blood of Klal Yisrael, like bites in and grabs out blood. So why specifically is that being compared to a dog? There's other things that bite. There's other things that draw blood. So says the Rebbe the following, an amazing idea. There's something that we find that's very unique about dogs, that they seem to have this quality that they really stand out. And the quality that makes them stand out is dogs are notorious for barking a lot. You have like little some like Chihuahua thing, and he's just like, like you know, like really going for it, and just like, and he's like whoa, bro, and he's like this big, but he's like really getting involved. Okay. The Gemara says that dogs bark. Kalavim tsayakin, or tzavchin kekalavim. The Zohar says that dogs are notorious for their barking. They scream and bark. They're big barkers. But what's interesting is that they're not the strongest animal. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my, are much stronger than kelevs. They don't bark in the same way. You don't see a lion going around like roaring all the time. It's like a rarity. Bears go around, they're doing their bear thing. They're not like barking all the time. Dogs just bark. They love barking. Why is that? So says the Rebbe an interesting thing. When somebody is naturally powerful and strong, does he feel a need to bark and show his dominance? No, because he's the dominant one. The nature of the world is that there is an element that the stronger one has a dominion and rulership over the weaker one. Just look in nature, that the stronger one will overcome the weaker one. And therefore, the stronger one doesn't feel a need to like puff himself up and bark all the time to show that he's stronger, because he is. The interesting thing about the dog, about the kelev, is it's exactly by virtue of the fact that he is weaker, that he tries to put on this show that he's stronger and the strongest, and makes people afraid by barking. You hear dogs barking, it's a very scary thing. But really, he's not the strongest. There's much stronger animals. The nature of the dog is that they bark loud, but they're not that strong. Amalek is the same way. Amalek really doesn't have this power. He just makes himself look like he's very, very powerful. So he's very, very loud. He makes barking that's very, very loud. But Amalek has no power unto himself. Nothing. He just has a good outer game. He just puts on this big outer game as if he's some big something, but he has nothing. The Gemara says, also the prophet from Isaiah, that kalavim are called azei nefesh. What's a good translation of az?
So,
They're like brazen. This is with ayin zion. Ayin with an ayin, like brazen. They're brazen. What's the quality of brazenness? Brazenness means you're not really so strong, but you give off this face like you're the man, like you're very strong. You're not strong, but you give off a look like you're strong. She's meiz panav, and he puts fear into everybody. Like it says about Chazal. Ein adam meiz panav b'fnei bal chayva. If somebody owes somebody money, the Gemara says in Gittin, Nun Aleph on base. If somebody owes somebody money, let's say some guy owes somebody $100,000, and then he sees that guy at a party. Does the guy who's in debt $100,000 like put on this like big, outer game to that person, or does he naturally feel like, I can't act like a big shot in front of him? What do you say? You generally don't try to make yourself into a big shot and talk a big game and start throwing around money. Like if the guy that you owe $100,000 to walks into the bar and you're trying to buy drinks for everybody and you're making yourself into a big somebody, and then that guy walks in, do you keep doing what you're doing? Or there's a natural, and the guy that he walks in with also knows that you owe that guy $100,000? Does he become deflated pretty quickly? Obviously he does. You know what brazenness is? Even when the guy who's owed $100K walks in, the guy still just throws around money as if I don't know you. Ooh, that's brazen. That's so brazen. Amalek. That's Amalek. A big outer game, but on the inside he has nothing.
So kind of like an ego?
But mega ego. Mega. The biggest ego of them all. So this is what we see with Amalek. Amalek is very weak. Amalek really uses other things and body doubles and stunt doubles. And Amalek pushes all this other stuff. Amalek, a big way that they work, you know how Amalek, when they came in to bite? Remember, when the Jewish people left Egypt, we were on fire. We saw the 10 plagues. We saw the splitting of the sea. We were literally in Ambatya Reisachas. We were on fire. He came and cooled us down, like we said, like the schwitz that we went into. He came, he cooled it down, and then the bathtub becomes cooler. Other people, other nations could come in. But Amalek is the first one. But he's he's just crazy. He's not strong. He just jumped in. How did he jump in? You know what he did? His strategy was, we're not even going to go. He took the women, and not only that, he took princesses, Midianite princesses, Moabite princesses, and sent them in to seduce the Jewish people. Everything Amalek is always about sending in deception. And if we can weaken them that way, because one thing that Hashem is very serious about is purity in marriage and about being faithful. That's one of the most important Torah values that we're here to tell all of humanity about, because sadly that whole institution, that whole relationship is breaking apart, and people are getting away from that, and children are not a thing anymore. Dogs. 0.1 children and 2.1 dogs. Dogs and not children. So that world of dogs and not children. So it says here that Amalek comes in, even though he's weaker, but he jumps to the front and he puts this fear as if something is going to happen. He puts this fear in. And everyone and because he went in and he did what he did, so other people, it's not so bad to do not nice things. And therefore other nations came in and started making problems. But Amalek has nothing. He has nothing. It says that Reishis Goyim Amalek is the first one that came in. So we explained yesterday that one of the powers that Hashem gave us is that He gave us 7 emotional traits. 7 emotional spheres, which is love God, which is fear, healthy fear, which is to beautify God in the world, which is netzach, which is to be victorious, hod, to acknowledge where all goodness comes from, yesod, which means deep, pleasurable connection to God, malchus, leadership, building something real in the world, making it practical. All those holy traits that we have, and that's what all of Kabbalah is about, learning the tree of life inside of you. Amalek, there's on the side of evil, there's 7 evil energies in the world that correspond to those 7 holy energies. The 7 evil energies are where all bad things come from, like loving the wrong stuff. I love this other guy's wife. You're not allowed to do that. Or fear, but bad fear, fallen fear. I'm afraid of the boogeyman. I'm afraid of my boss. Or tiferes, which is I don't make God beautiful, I want to just make myself beautiful. And so on. So those are the negative 7 traits. How does a person fall into those negative 7 traits? The answer is, there's a nation that comes before it all. It's called Amalek. Amalek is the power of das. Das means I can distinguish. I'm not an animal. Das means I can distinguish between what's the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. That's das. I can do what's right and I can reject what's wrong. If a person doesn't know that he has das, could he come to do basically just about anything? If he doesn't believe in himself that he could choose good, anything's possible. Essentially, he believes that he's an animal, and therefore animals, monkey see, monkey do. I see that television program, I just do it. Like, why not? I heard people like this. Oh, you want to go to that non-kosher? Why not? Okay, it's here. It's just like an animal. Oh, I see it, I do it. I came, I saw, I conquered. Whatever. I'll come, take it. If a person doesn't believe that they can choose between what's right and what's not, anything is possible. So that pulls a person into all those negative, the world of negative character traits. That's Amalek. Amalek removes that belief that you are powerful and you can make good decisions, which is the biggest lie. That's the biggest lie. That's the biggest kelev. That's the biggest dog bark. There's nothing further than the truth. You're a human being. You're not a monkey. You have the power. You have a soul inside of you. You could choose good and reject bad. So, Reishis Goyim Amalek, that Amalek is the first. And Acharisai Ade Ovid, the end of Amalek is he makes a person fall into despair. The destruction of Amalek that we're doing this Parashas Zachor, is destroying that voice that says that you're a nobody. You can't choose. You can't become great. That's the biggest lie. That's the lie of the kelev that makes himself like he's some big thing, but he's nothing. He's nothing. We have to destroy that voice inside of our minds. We have to know how big we are. And then ultimately on Purim, when he's completely gone, all you see on Purim is your neshama. The Yesod Abba, the light of Purim comes in. The Adaloyada, that you get above Das, above Haman's Das. You get to Das Elyon, you get to the world of Moshe Rabbeinu. You get to a world of Hashem, everything is you. And when a person knows that, then I have amazing powers. Hashem is giving me energy, He's giving me powers. I can make the right decisions. I can have holy love. I can have holy awe. I can make Hashem beautiful. I can overcome challenges. My hoid, I can acknowledge how good you are, Hashem. My yesoid, I can be deeply, emotionally affectionate in real relationships. And Malchus, then finally what you do is you build Hashem, His kingdom down here in this world with Mashiach, and the Binyan Beis HaShlishi, B'meher v'yameinu, Amen. Have a wonderful Shabbos, Rabbi Zachor.